This podcast is brought to you by Rebel News. That's right. So if you want to support us, why not do it in a win-win fashion by shopping for yourself? One of my favorite things to do. Head to rebelnewsstore.com to pick the patriotic gear that pleases your heart. And while you're there, use coupon code DREA10 to save while you do.
Hello, my friends. The reverberations of the leaders' debate last year keep on vibrating. We're going to talk about a couple of crazy incidents, including a video I took of my encounter with the CBC. You can let me know what you think of that. But first, let me invite you to become a subscriber to Rebel News Plus. It's a video version of this podcast. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com. Click subscribe. It's $8 a month, which might not sound like a lot of money to you, but boy, it adds up for us. That's rebelnewsplus.com. Tonight, more echoing vibrations from the leaders' debate last week. It's April 21st, and this is the Ezra Levant Show.
Shame on you, you censorious thug.
Hi, everybody. There's a few videos I want to show you today that I just recorded today. The first one is about merch. I hope you don't mind. I'm wearing my hoodie today. I actually forgot my jacket in Montreal, and they're sending it back here, but I'll have to get another jacket for the show. I know I'm looking a little casual, but I really love wearing this Rebel hoodie. And I don't talk a lot about our merch, but we do have a store, rebelnewsstore.com, and I love wearing this out and about. People come over and chat with me, even in foreign countries. I was in the United Kingdom, and a cabbie asked me about Rebel News and talked to me about Tommy Robinson. So it's a great way to sort of show your identity. And for people who don't know Rebel News, it's sort of, it stays anonymous. They just think, oh, that's some hip brand or something. The reason I'm talking about our merch is because you might know that in 2016, when I first heard the word Make America Great Again, I thought that's a pretty cool word, pretty cool phrase. How about Make Canada Great Again, too? Canada was still pretty great then. We hadn't decayed under a decade of Justin Trudeau yet. And so I filled up the paperwork to apply for a trademark of Make Canada Great Again. I just thought I'll probably use that one day for something. And indeed, in 2019, I got the trademark, and we sell some merch at our store for Rebel News. I mean, we use Make Canada Great Again as one of like 100 things we sell. And we recently signed a licensing deal with a company that loved it so much and said, hey, we'll give you a portion of every hat we sell. Well, that's win-win. I tell you that to let you know that we actually do work the term Make Canada Great Again. And I know not everybody likes that, but some people love it. Which brings me to a lawsuit that I filed last week. Here, watch this video, which we rolled out earlier today. Take a look. Hi, everybody. Ezra Levant here. I'm outside the CBC headquarters in Montreal, my stomping grounds. I'm kidding around. If I weren't here because of the leaders' debate, they would probably escort me off the property. But while we wait to go back in, they're just having the police dogs sniff around for any danger. I want to tell you about something I did today that's got nothing to do with this debates. Guys, I sued the Liberal Party of Canada today. You can find the lawsuit at a special website I set up called lawbreakers.ca, because I allege in that lawsuit, and it's only 10 pages long, it's a very quick read, I allege that the Liberal Party broke the law and violated my rights. Now, this isn't some cockamamie scheme. They stole from me. I don't know if you saw about a week ago, there was something called Buttongate. Turns out some liberal dirty tricksters from the War Room went to a conservative conference and brought a bunch of sort of Trump paraphernalia and sort of pretended that it was conservative. What they were trying to do was make Pierre Poilievre look like a little mini MAGA guy, like a mini Trump. So they had all these pins and Trump stuff, and one of them were pins that said, little buttons, that said, Make Canada Great Again. And the idea was that, look at that, ha ha ha, Pierre Poilievre is just like Trump. But it wasn't any conservatives, and it certainly wasn't the Conservative Party. It was dirty tricksters from the Liberal War Room. And I don't know if you remember, but Mark Carney was asked about this, and he pretty much confessed. But instead of firing these unethical folks, he just reassigned them. Did you see him say that?
Members of the Liberal War Room, so the Central Campaign, distributed Stop the Steal buttons at a Conservative event. Given the anti-democratic implications of this phrase, how much does this event undermine the trust in the way that the Liberals operate? And what have you done in response to these revelations?
Thanks for the question. Look, this is totally unacceptable, to be absolutely clear. And I, on behalf of my campaign, I was unaware of this behavior, but on behalf of my campaign, I apologize for it unreservedly. Okay. I've made it absolutely clear to my campaign that this behavior or anything approximating it or in that spirit is unacceptable, cannot happen again.
Well, here's what they didn't think about when they did their dirty trick. Number one, I know from experience, if you publish campaign material and do not register with Elections Canada and have written on your stuff authorized by the Liberal Party, you're violating election law. It may not sound fair, but believe me, I went through it when I published my book, The Libranos. They chased me for years. And so I know if you're campaigning an election, you got to put authorized by so-and-so. But there's one more thing the Liberals did wrong. Make Canada great again? I don't know if you know that, but a few years ago, I trademarked that phrase. I had no idea that it would become a thing in the debate, but you can look it up. I registered the trademark to make Canada great again. And the Liberal dirty tricksters stole that from me. They stole my trademark without my permission. They made buttons without my permission, and they did it in violation of election law. Now, the thing is, Mark Carney could have taken responsibility and said this is wrong and fired them, but he didn't. He just reassigned them. Who knows what they're working on now? I'm suing because that's my property. Like it or not, I own Make Canada Great Again in Canada. They deliberately tried to confuse people to make it look like it was Pierre Poilievre or even me. I don't know. They violated election law. So I am suing them for violation of the trademark, and in the lawsuit, it's a very quick read, it's only 10 pages, for violating election law and trademark law. Go see for it yourself. Here's what's interesting. I've sued the Liberal Party of Canada, but I've also sued John Doe 1 and John Doe 2. Those are obviously not real names. Those are placeholder names until we find out who actually did it. Are you a little bit curious? Oh, I sure am. Who was it that actually did this? Who gave the orders to do it? Who paid for it? Those are all very relevant things when it comes to getting damages from them for stealing my trademark, but also for violating election laws. Were there campaign managers in on it? Was Mark Carney himself briefed on it? Because all of that is going to be relevant, and all of that will be discoverable in this lawsuit. You might think, Ezra, let it go. It's just a little theft. It's like shoplifting. No, you missed the point. When the Prime Minister of the country, who's Prime Minister now and running to be reelected for the Prime Minister, waves and blinks and laughs at law breaking, we're in deep trouble. Now, Elections Canada would never do anything about this on their own, but you know what? I'm a Canadian, and I've just filed the lawsuit. Go to lawbreakers.ca to check out the lawsuit yourself. And if you want to help me find out who the dirty tricksters are behind here and get a little justice, because no one else is gonna, go to lawbreakers.ca and chip in a few dollars to help me cover the legal bills. Let's hold these Liberals accountable. God knows these regime media journalists won't. That's lawbreakers.ca. What do you think of that? I think it feels like destiny or something, or certainly chance, that they stole property from me for their campaign dirty trick. Like, of all the people, don't they know I'm going to assert my rights? I mean, I think if anyone else had the rights to some of those buttons, they would say, oh, what can you do? The Prime Minister stole from you. How are you going to fight back? Well, I know some lawyers, and I know a little bit about my rights, and I actually do value that trademark. So we're going to sue the Liberal Party of Canada. Not only them, but we're going to find out who John Doe number 1 and John Doe number 2 are. All right, I have one more video for you. And this one, I want you to be very honest with me. I want you to watch it and then send me your messages. This is my encounter with David Cochrane, the CBC journalist who spent basically all day last week smearing Rebel News, trying to get us kicked out of the Debates Commission. I went to him during a commercial break and I said, hey, you're bashing me on air. Can I come on for a right of reply? And they basically said, buzz off. After that, he told everyone who would listen that I busted up his show, I interrupt his broadcast, I was a wild beast. And I had videoed my interaction. I thought, he's lying. And so many people believed his lies. I said, you know what? I'm going to publish the video of our interaction. Here, take a look. Hey, there was a weird moment at the leaders' debates in Montreal last week where the CBC sort of stopped reporting on the news about the election and instead turned into a lobby group trying to get the Debates Commission to ban Rebel News from being accredited, even though 2 courts had said it was an illegal infringement on our freedom of the press to keep us out. Nonetheless, the CBC, and in particular, their host David Cochrane, who I'd actually never spoken to before, they were just obsessed with getting us kicked out. Talk about inside baseball, though. No one else in the country cared. Now, I watched some of David Cochrane's reports, including him making the allegation that Rebel News was somehow doing illegal things with our beautiful billboard truck. Cochrane actually told that lie to the debates commissioner himself as part of his vendetta at Rebel News. It was really weird. Here, watch just for a moment.
Okay, so I know the past precedents, but like this is a filing with Elections Canada from this election where Rebel News has filed as a third party advertising group. They are raising money in their own documents for partisan political activities. That's not what a journalistic organization does, right? So I appreciate that you've lost in the past, but if they are raising money to run ads to influence the outcome of an election, surely a judge would look at that and say, this isn't a journalistic organization.
Perhaps we didn't get there.
But why not? Like, I understand you lost before. This is a material change in their conduct. They have this truck going around with a video wall promoting conspiracy theories and allegations, mostly against Mark Carney. Let's face it, like we're showing it there. You can see this on the screen. That is one of the few things we can show on TV that appears on the side of that. I mean, this looks like evidence in a court battle. I mean, you are entrusted with this authority. Why not fight for what you believe here?
We showed them in the last lawsuit doing political advocacy, and it did not convince the judge. So for us, this argument was not going to be more effective this time.
Yeah, that's sort of crazy. And they also complained that we had a third-party campaign group, just like the CBC has, just like most journalists do with their union uniform. Anyways, Cochrane was factually inaccurate there. Those ads on the billboard truck are clearly marked. They weren't Rebel News ads. The CBC was accusing us of doing something contrary to the Elections Act. This was on top of a full day's defamation of us. It really was remarkable, the vendetta. So I waited until Cochrane was clearly in a break, and I politely approached him on his set to ask him if I could come on a show, even for a few minutes, to try to set the record straight. It's weird that he was spending so much time slandering us without even asking us for our side of the story. I mean, we were right there. So I waited until it was really clear that he wasn't on TV, because I saw other guests standing up and leaving the set, and a producer in a bright red shirt standing up to do things on the set, obviously blocking the camera shot. So I knew that they weren't on the air. And I went over to ask for a right of reply, and I was refused. So I left after just over a minute. They never did let me or any other rebels on to correct their lies. In fact, they did the opposite. After I asked for a rebuttal, they ran to Michel Cormier, that's that debate commissioner, and they told him that I had come onto their set and into their set, that's what they said, and that I wouldn't leave, that's what they said, and that I interrupted a live broadcast, that's what they said. They demanded that I be kicked out for this. Now, obviously, Cormier had told the CBC that based on that complaint, he would indeed kick me out, because Cochrane reported on TV that I had been kicked out. Did you see this?
Here's what's going on here. To my left, there's the room there where the media is gathered. It's where they can watch the debates. This is where the scrums are happening with the leaders. There was some sort of an altercation inside there in the last little while involving Ezra Levant, who is the head of Rebel News, and other journalists. Michel Cormier has escorted Ezra Levant out. His credentials, we believe, has been revoked.
But that just didn't happen, because I showed Cormier a video of the whole incident. And he immediately realized that the CBC had lied to him about us and what I had done. Believe me, Michel Cormier does not like me and Rebel News, and he would have loved to have kicked me out. And frankly, if I really did crash the CBC's live broadcast, they probably should have kicked me out. But David Cochrane just made up a false story, another defamation of us. Cochrane was still raging about us, and here's what he wrote on Twitter. He said, "We were playing a 60-second report when Ezra accosted me. He wouldn't stop. So the control room in Ottawa kept playing tape to prevent the incident from carried live on air. The debate commission wouldn't take action because we were in commercial. We weren't. So this was allowed to continue. We had to scramble to cover the incident by placing tape until it was over. No proper professional interrupt the broadcast or work of another professional journalist. We were inside an RCMP swept security perimeter today for our job, and the Montreal police had to be called, and we had to sneak out of the building we owned with the help of security to get home safely." Oh my God, was it really that bad? Is any of that true? If it was true, you'd think the CBC would release video of it. I mean, after all, they literally caught it all on camera. Is it really true that I wouldn't stop? Is it really true that they had to scramble? Or is it in fact true that they were on a break and their own producer was leisurely puttering around the set, doing things I don't know exactly what he was doing before I arrived, while I was there, and after I left? Did they really scramble, given that our entire chat was about a minute? And did they really call police? And did they really have to sneak out at night because of their safety? Is all of that true? Is any of that true? Well, lucky for me, we recorded the incident. Take a look at the full, unedited interaction. Observe that when I arrived, a producer was standing in the shot. Observe how I asked if I could somehow reply to their day-long attacks on me, and I was told no. And after asking a few times, I just left. And if you can find any police in the video, let me know. Okay, let's take a look. Play the tape. So you can see I arrive and there's a CBC guest. Okay, stop right there. So that was a guest getting off the panel. And you can see someone in a red shirt or sweater puttering with Rosemary Barton's earpiece or something. So you could see that first guest who was just leaving the CBC panel, he was in the shot where I am now. He casually said hi to me. You can see there's a producer in red who's puttering around in the shot. They're all clearly on a break. And I introduced myself immediately and said why I was there. Here, watch a little bit more.
Yeah.
Ezra Levant here. How you doing?
How you doing? I'm live on the air, Ezra.
Okay, well, I've come to request.
So I'm live on the air. Like, I don't interrupt your broadcast, and I should not interrupt mine. So.
Okay, stop for a second. He said they're live on the air. Is that true? Do you see the guy in the red sweater with the hat on, puttering with Rosemary Barton's equipment? Was this really on air? This was happening before I approached. This is why I approached. I could see that they were not on air at all. Maybe they were about to be, but not in any way that that guy in the red vest took seriously. You'll see that he was there before I arrived, while I was there, and after I was gone. Was he scrambling? Were they talking at all? No, they weren't. Here, keep playing some more.
Here.
Can I come back and
You want to get involved?
you defame me on TV.
We're going to ask you to please respect our broadcast.
Okay, can I come back on and rebut some?
I am live on the air.
I think we have to correct something you said.
Sir, we have to interrupt the conversation.
Did you see my challenge?
Yeah.
Okay, stop it right there. So I didn't go to talk to Rosemary Barton. I mean, she lied about us in other ways, but I really went because David Cochrane had this whole day-long vendetta against us. Rosemary Barton stood up instead of doing whatever she was going to do and squared up with me and called security to have me thrown out. All right. I mean, in fact, you can see I step down and start to leave. I'm only a few seconds away from leaving. But these people were not on air. They were not trying to make a broadcast. They were not in any rush at all. The fella in the red sweater kept doing what he was doing, but Rosemary Barton was quite aggressive, or at least tried to get the security to be aggressive, but, I left soon enough. Here, take a look. All right. Well, David, I'd like to come back on and rebut some of your errors about Rebel News.
Yeah. That's cool. See you later. Have a good debate.
Who can I talk to about that?
Hey, go into the media room, Ezra. Like, I know you're gonna, look, I know you're doing your thing. I'm doing a show.
But you
I don't interrupt your
defamed them.
broadcast.
You defamed them. Is there someone I can talk to on your team?
Sorry.
So stop for there. So by now I'm out of the shot. The guy in the red sweater is still there doing, I'm not sure what he was doing, but he was still doing it. They're obviously not live. None of them are live. None of them are being broadcast. And I've stepped away because, frankly, I don't want to, put the security in a pickle. They were commanded by Rosemary Barton to shoo me away. But I'm still asking, is there anyone I can talk to? I mean, they had talked about us all day and said some very particular false facts about us. They defamed us. And I waited till there was a moment to talk to me. I mean, normally you reach out to someone you're going to attack in journalism just to make sure you get your facts straight. They didn't do that. I positively said, hey, is there anyone I can talk to? Can I come on the show? You said some defamatory things. I'd like to rebut them, even for a few minutes. And all they said was, we're busy. Go away, go away, go away, go away. Rosemary Barton really felt like chiming in for some reason. I think she's got a bit of she hates Rebel News, but I made a gentle crack about the two of us. I had challenged her, the two of us, to have a public fitness contest. I don't think she'd like that very much. Anyhow, keep playing the rest of the tape. David?
David's in charge. Yeah.
Who is, sorry?
David's in charge.
Well, but is there like a producer or a lawyer or something? So stop there again. Rosemary Barton literally pivoted in her seat, spun around, because she still wanted to argy-bargy with me. These are not people who were on air. These are not people who were busy. These are people who were still puttering in some break. The guy in the red jacket is still there. The reason I tell you all this is twofold. To let you know just how unprofessional they are in terms of getting the other side of the story. All day they had been attacking and smearing and lying about Rebel News. But they never once reached out to us to check a fact or invite us on for some right of reply. Never once. So I calmly waited till I could see they were not on air to ask for that opportunity. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't swear. I didn't shout. I didn't call security. I just said, can I come on the show? Who do I talk to? Is there a producer? Is there a lawyer? You'd think at that point they would say, send an email, or here's a phone number, or we'll send someone over. They basically said, no, we will never platform you. That's essentially what they said. So I left. Total engagement time, just over 80 seconds. Play the rest of the clip.
All right, this is my attempt to correct you.
All right. Well, we'll have to find another way. And that's it. Is that how David Cochrane described it? It is not. The CBC are liars. David Cochrane and Rosemary Barton, they're liars. They lied about Rebel News. They lied about our reporter, Drea Humphrey. I don't know if you saw, but in her case, they actually were forced to issue a grudging correction, even though that correction wasn't man enough to say sorry to Drea, or in fact to say who their correction was about, who they smeared at all. I think the CBC are out of control. They were not acting as journalists at the debate. They were Mark Carney's personal smear machine. They were trying to get us kicked out of there. David Cochrane lied on the air, and then he lied in his tweets, and then he lied to the Debates Commission. You saw his tweets. He lied. We never interrupted their broadcasts at all. Never trust a word the CBC says. Always remember, they hate you. Sign our petition at cbclies.com. The petition is that they should stop treating the CBC as a personal vengeance machine. I know they don't like Rebel News, and I know they hate me and hate Drea Humphrey and hate our team. But if they're going to be journalists, they should invite people on when they attack them, and they shouldn't be so afraid to have the other side of the story on their show. They're welcome on my show anytime. Those are words you'll never hear from them. Go to cbclies.com. What do you think of that? I want you to be very candid with me. Was I rude? Maybe a little bit. Was I too rude? Definitely not. Were they in the wrong by not asking us for our side of the story? I think so. Hey, while I'm asking for your feedback, let me read to you some of the comments that folks are making under the video on the paywall site. So these are Rebel News Plus comments. And there were so many nice comments in the last few days. I'm going to read some of them to you. Bernhard Jacek says, after seeing a number of videos of the reactions to what happened with the post-debate media scrum yesterday, one can safely conclude that the days of gentlemanly reporting typified by the work of people like Norman Defoe and Charles Lynch are a thing of the past. The vitriol and language used to describe Rebel News and Ezra Levant in particular would never have been tolerated 50 years ago. Then again, journalists were allowed free and independent thought back then. It was crazy. And I mean, I got a really thick skin. I don't care. But the way they went after Drea Humphrey was shocking. And the way that the Quebecois media went after Alexa Lavoie, I tell you, how those young women stood up to this, it was amazing to see their resilience. Jerry Purvis says, great job, Rebels. Once again, you exposed the regime media for what it is, smug, arrogant, and condescending. It's the same here in the States. As someone explained that attitude to me, if liars' pants really did catch on fire, the news would be a lot more fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, they did all the things they accuse us of doing. They were rude and disruptive. That's what they accuse us of doing, but we're not that way. Bernhard Jacek actually has a second comment and says, did any of them actually see how that nut bar reporter for The Hill verbally attacked Keean Bexte and then Ezra Levant? No doubt the presence of Juno and Rebel were considered unprovoked acts of violence. By the looks of things, the leftist media finally has their January 6th type of incident that it's been craving for years. That's exactly what I said. I said they trumped it up into, oh my God, we had to, if you listen to the CBC, they said, oh, we needed police and we needed an escort to get out of there and I was violated. I mean, I think they've been radicalized or something's wrong with them. These people are not right in the head. Susan Gerbis says that CBC review from Mark's comment, Rebel News was to blame for everything. What absolute cowards our national media is. Please vote Conservative so Pierre can abolish this leeching organization. You know, it's a terrible idea to have the government run debates because all those decisions are not proper for the government to make. The government should not decide who can and can't attend. And it's the fact that they tried that gives us the charter right to go to court. Perversely, paradoxically, ironically, whatever you want to say, the fact that Justin Trudeau nationalized debates is precisely how we get in, because it makes it something subject to the Charter of Rights in the courts. David Neal says, make this episode free and spread it out there. We did. We emailed it out far and wide. I'll just read one or two more. I really like these comments. These are comments that you can make right under our video. Bruce Atchison has a very long one. I'm not going to read it all, but I'll encourage you to find it on our site. And I'll close with Nicola Timmerman, who says, our household just resubscribed to Rebel News after the incredible smearing of Rebel going on by the media. I believe Ezra said Commissioner asked to speak to him about the English debate, and he offered to let him ask one debate question, and Ezra agreed. So why cancel the scrum, and why no journalist present? What Ezra said, not making a fuss about getting more questions. And Menzies getting attacked again? Crazy. You're right. I love the idea of just having one question instead of a question and a supplementary question. Sorry, I totally agree with that. That would have a lot more questions go through. Second of all, I think it's a good idea to limit a question to 30 seconds or more, probably 60 seconds. So I misunderstood your letter. I absolutely agree with what you said there. But the whole point wasn't to make it a better debate or a better scrum. Their point was to shut down Rebel News any way they could. And in the end, the only way that they could was to nuke the whole thing. It was really sad. I mean, Jagmeet Singh is a bit of a racist. He wouldn't answer the question by the only black woman in the room, Drea Humphrey. He looked down his nose at her, and it was sort of a gross moment where he mansplained to her that she's not allowed to ask questions. He was pretty gross. But let's be honest, Jagmeet Singh is sort of dumb. I mean, he's really cool. I'll grant you that. He's really good at TikTok videos, but he's sort of dumb. And I think by saying, I'm not going to talk to Rebel News, that lets him avoid answering tough questions. When I say he's sort of dumb, he just sort of is. Is there a single policy out there that you can say Jagmeet Singh really knows his stuff? there was an interesting little statistic that the debate showed of how many minutes of talk time each candidate had. And to their credit, I thought the debate itself was quite well run, by the way, both the English and the French. The French debate, they tallied up how many minutes and seconds each candidate got. And Jagmeet Singh's was way down low because the guy is not built for debating. He's not really built for ideas or answering tough questions. So I think one of Jagmeet Singh's strategies for avoiding embarrassment is to say, oh, I don't like that journalist, so I'm not going to answer that completely legit question. Anyway, I want to show one of the videos that one of the questions to Jagmeet Singh, I say again, it was our own Drea Humphrey. And she asked a question about the anti-Christian crime wave in Canada. I talk a fair bit about the anti-Semitic crime wave in Canada, torching of synagogues, smashing glass, shooting up a girls' school. Like there's this very serious crime wave against Jewish institutions, but there's also one against Christian institutions. And thank God it hasn't had anyone harmed yet. But over 200 Christian churches have been vandalized or even burnt. You might recall a few weeks ago I went out to Winnipeg to film a church that had been totally torched. So Drea Humphrey, who is herself Christian, and by the way, Black and Indigenous, asked a question to Jagmeet Singh. And I want to show the question, but Efron, I also want to show Rosemary Barton's response to it. So here's Drea's question, which was an excellent question. The CBC hated this question. I'll show you how. Take a look.
Hello, Mr. Singh. Drea Humphrey with
Drea.
Rebel News. Your party takes great pride in standing against hate such as white supremacy, Islamophobia, and
Sorry, I
online.
didn't get your outlet.
Drea Humphrey with Rebel News.
Okay.
Your party.
You know where I'm going to go with this, though, right?
Can I speak?
Yeah, you can. I'm just going to say you know where I'm going to go with it, though.
Wow. Your party takes pride in standing against hate such as white supremacy, Islamophobia, and online hate speech. Yet you stay silent about ongoing attacks against Christians, even after conservative MP Jamil Javani's order paper question revealed that over 200 churches have been targeted by arson and vandalism since claims of remains being discovered at former residential schools swept the nation in 2021. These claims have been disproven by bands that excavated and remain unproven by those that have not. Will you condemn the rise in acts of hate against Christians today and explain what your party will do moving forward to keep Christians safe from hate in Canada?
Again, thank you, but I'm not going to respond to an organization that promotes misinformation and disinformation like Rebel News. So no, I'm not going to respond to your question.
Wow. Well, she said had no misinformation.
Yeah, thanks very much. That's enough for that clip. So he called that misinformation and disinformation. And so did Rosemary Barton, my doppelganger at CBC. Do you have that clip of Rosemary Barton? Just raging against Drea. Drea has been on this. She actually went to Kamloops to look into the allegation of mass graves. She actually bumped into the chief and talked to the chief. Okay, take a look at Rosemary Barton describing Drea's question as factually false. Take a look.
I think we have to sort of address the elephant in the room. How are these people chosen to answer these questions? And I don't know if either one of you have an answer for that, but I think there will be people at home saying, some of these seem like odd questions. Some of them aren't getting answered. How come we've heard so often from this one particular outlet? Any idea what's going on there?
There's three right-wing, very right-wing media, we can call them media, websites that are present in there. They get in line to ask a question like anybody else. Their accreditation has been approved by the Commission of Debates, and so they get the right to stand in line and ask a question that they choose to ask. In this case, you saw Mr. Singh, and this has been his position for some time, to refuse to answer questions. Rebel News in particular traffics in misinformation, facts, lack of facts, and as you heard in that question, which was woven with some truth and some things that weren't true. Yes, there have been burnings of Christian Catholic churches. Yes, there have been remains of Indigenous children found in various places around the country, which she misrepresented. We'll see if Mr. Poilievre gets any questions.
Well, in fact, Mr. Polyev did get questions from Rebel News, 2 questions asked by Sheila Gunn Reid, and they were great questions. There's some sort of weird implication there that we don't ask tough questions of Pierre Polyev. But let me bring your attention to something that I just discovered today, which is a correction. Do you have that handy, Ephraim? The official correction on the CBC's website. Now, you can see it right there. Scroll down a little bit. It's they made the correction on the 17th. They said, on April 16th, during a live broadcast following the French language federal election leaders debate on CBC News Network, Chief Political Correspondent Rosemary Barton said, quote, yes, there have been remains of Indigenous children found in various places across the country. As CBC News has reported on multiple occasions, what several Indigenous communities across Canada have discovered on the sites of some former residential schools are potential burial sites or unmarked graves. So there have been no unmarked graves that have been found, because none of this, the accusation has been made by airheads like Jagmeet Singh and Rosemary Barton, but none of them have been found yet. So she was lying, or maybe she's just dumb. I don't know which one's a better one. Are you lying? Like, did you know it was a lie and you said it on purpose? Or are you just that dumb? You're the chief political correspondent for the state broadcaster, and you don't know your basic facts about an incredibly large issue. But imagine the chutzpah to call Drea the misinformation peddler. In a fact check, you position yourself as a fact checker. The CBC did more fact checking of Rebel News at the debates than they did of Mark Carney, who they're championing for obvious reasons. He said, far from cutting the CBC as Pierre Polyev has promised to do, he's going to give them a boost in spending. Rosemary Barton is a disgrace. The CBC is a disgrace. They lied about Drea. Much more importantly, they lied about the truth. They lied about Indigenous graves. And they don't, you know what? We get things wrong once in a while. We occasionally publish corrections, and even occasionally we publish apologies, as in we didn't just get it wrong in a neutral way. We got it wrong in a way that hurt someone. Every once in a while, we publish an apology. It doesn't happen often because we take getting our facts accurately very seriously. But every once in a while, we have an apology, a retraction, a correction, whatever. You'll notice that so-called correction did not say who they were smearing. They couldn't bring themselves to say it was Drea and Rebel News who got it right. And second of all, they didn't tweet this. Rosemary Barton didn't retweet this. They buried this on a page of the CBC that no one ever goes to. That shows their